Coming up on this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society, doctors hate this one simple trick for playing as Kratos on your Nintendo Switch. It's our most clickbaity cold open yet. It's dangerous to go alone, so the Nintendo Cartridge Society goes with you. Welcome to Nintendo Cartridge Society. My name is Patrick Ellers, and I am joined, as I'm always joined, by my co-host, Mark Mitchell. We've got a good show for you today. We are going to be talking about the news from the week, including the 25th anniversary of LEGO video games and Persona 5 Scramble actually coming to the US. And then on Thursday, we're doing our own dang game awards, okay? Jeff Keighley can do his. We're doing our own. Mark, in the meantime, how you doing?
I'm doing great. So a weird thing has been happening to me recently. Anytime I sit on the couch in our living room and then stand up, I have somehow generated enough static electricity to like shock myself no matter what happens. And I wonder if it's because I actually don't know how to I don't know how to account for it.
No. Don't back down from wherever you were going.
Well,
I want to
okay.
hear what's your theory on why you're generating more static electricity now.
Okay, so my first thought was maybe I have a heart condition and is somehow manifesting itself this way. Turns out I don't think that's true.
No, I don't think that can be true.
That is one symptom that is not Googleable on the internet. My next theory is that because I'm like wearing sweatpants a lot, but that's been true for months at this point. But maybe it's a combination of wearing sweatpants plus there's more like humidity in the air. Help me out, somebody.
Well, okay, let me. Well, the less humidity there is, the more likely it is that you're going to be shooting off static electricity. So I think the fact that it is colder and drier that adds up to me.
Okay.
Are you wearing more layers than usual?
I suppose I am. I've been wearing a hoodie a lot more often than I have recently. But explain how layers. I mean, I know this is not the purpose of this podcast.
Right. I don't know. I know that it's more friction because it's more surfaces rubbing against each other, right?
Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I would totally believe that. Would I say like, yes, all right. I clearly have no idea, but I would believe that is true. That is convincing enough for me.
Mark, speaking of things that are convincing enough for you, how about my copy of Sonic Forces and the Sonic Forces borrowing program that supports it and supports its dissemination into our listenership? If you would like to borrow my copy of Sonic Forces, all you got to do is email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com. And give us a mailing address, and then we send you my copy of that game to play for as long as you want. Mark, what might happen?
Well, see, something that could happen is you think you're getting a copy of Sonic Forces. You eagerly retrieve the envelope from your mailbox. You rushed back into your home. You rip open the envelope, and in place of Sonic Forces, you have Untitled Goose Game. You have been spoiled by the goose.
The goose is a spoiler. I'm sorry, someone will accidentally receive Untitled Goose Game. You play that for as long as you want, and then you send it back. The goose is just there to mess up. Is just there to mess things up.
Honk. Truly.
Indeed. Here's another thing you can do with that email address, and this may be more important and dare I say more urgent. We are doing a predictions episode. At the end of this year, we are going to be predicting Nintendo's 2021. Now, you would think that after the year that we have all had, that everyone would get out of the prediction game altogether, because no one could have predicted 2020. Go ahead, Mark.
You would think so, but Patrick, you are like, we have you on the record of manifesting a new Game & Watch, which did happen this year.
Yes. Okay, so I'm very good at predicting the future. What we're trying to do here is we're trying to get you to send us your Nintendo predictions for 2020. Now, the deadline for this is coming up quick. So Friday, December 18th is the last day that we can take them. So email us at Nintendo Cartridge Society at gmail.com.
gmail.com.
And thank you to everyone who has already sent in their predictions. Just so everyone who has not sent one knows, we're getting a bunch of predictions. So feel free to dump however many you want in there. They can be as far out as you want them to be. Things that you actually believe are going to happen. Things that you know aren't going to actually happen. That's fine too. Drop them in there. We will add them to our grand list of predictions.
Yeah, I feel like on the one hand, I think you're right that getting out of the predictions business makes a lot of sense over what happened in 2020. But on the other hand, the door is now wide open for the wildest things to happen in 2021. So, like, do your worst.
Yeah, I mean, let's look. If anyone predicts something crazier than what actually ends up happening in 2021, then there will be a consequence of one form or another that I can't come up with at the moment. Thank you so much to Scotsy13 for the 5-star review on Apple Podcasts.
I think it's Scootsy.
I think you're right.
It's Scootsy13.
I think you're right. I think it is Scootsy13. I was cold reading that. I saw that it was in our show notes here, and I just took a stab at the name. Mark, I was also cold reading the cold open of the show, because you had written it, and normally even when you write something, I run it through the intro voice before we get going. I did not do it, so that was the first read of it that we heard on this episode.
Nailed it.
But thank you, Scootsy. Everyone else who has left us reviews, thank you so much. If you have not yet, please go in there and review us. It helps people find us, and we appreciate that. We appreciate you reviewing us wherever you do, and all that good stuff. Also, any kind of interaction that we get, I think we like all of that too. So we had a conversation last week about time traveling within Nintendo games. And then we got a tweet on the subject from @PrismosPickle, that's AV Guevara on Twitter, saying, "Y'all forgot Luigi's Mansion already has time travel. Luigi was sent back in time by EGAD into the original game, and that's why we have the 3DS remake. Otherwise fantastic ep." Smiley face with the tongue sticking out. AV, I didn't forget that. That piece of information is always top of mind for me, that Luigi is a time traveler. Sometimes when we have to take stock of things and say, what do we know about Luigi? I say, first of all, we know he's a time traveler. I didn't bring it up because honestly, I feel like I talk about it too much. It's like those times when I don't mention Telero Boxer or Star Tropics or Donkey Kong 3. Every now and then, I gotta put my favorite topics to bed. I just gotta.
I feel like first rule of Nintendo Cartridge Society,
yes,
Luigi is a time traveler. Know that coming into every episode that is true.
Those are table stakes, frankly. Also, I got a text from my buddy Pete on the same topic of time travel. When we were talking about Zelda, I said that the only real time travel is in Ocarina of Time, and then also sort of Majora's Mask. But Pete points out Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons also have time travel too. So yeah, I guess we sort of forgot about the Oracle games. But then it got me thinking, in Oracle of Seasons, are you actually time traveling, or are you just making the weather different?
I think you're just making the weather different.
Yeah, you're not actually moving ahead 3 months or back in time 6 months. I
don't think so.
It's just because otherwise it's is it the same year, or are you skipping ahead to the next of whatever that next season is? It seems it's I think that one may not be time travel.
I was also wondering, do we count A Link to the Past? Because I know you're going to the dark world, a different dimension.
Interesting.
But, does that also count as time shifting as well?
I mean, I would say no, not at all, but I'm willing to hear the argument, I guess.
Well, I don't really have one beyond what I just said, so we can probably move on.
Sometimes it's fine to back down from an argument. Thank you, both of you, for adding to our time travel discourse. Mark, let's get into what we've been playing this week.
So I think we've got to start with the Tetris 99 Maximus Cup, which happened this past weekend.
Yes.
It had a Super Mario Brothers All Stars, like the Super Nintendo game, 16-bit theme, and I've got to admit, I was kind of disappointed with this one.
I was also kind of disappointed with this one. The music isn't super fun,
The
and
music was so
the
disappointing.
music was super disappointing. And when you get into the music always changes as you go from like the just like sort of regular ranking to the top 50 to the top 10. But once you get into the top 10, it's that like castle, like Bowser's Castle music,
Mm-hmm.
which is really more like foreboding than it is like energizing, and like just didn't feel like the right vibe at all, for that. So like the whole thing I just found a little bit like underwhelming. I got it, of course, because I must get all the themes, and I was thinking at some point we should rank all the themes in Tetris 99. But did you unlock the theme?
I did unlock the theme. Also, I have to make a small confession real fast because when you were talking about the music in the top 10, and I was like, like, I didn't make it into the top 10 in any of those rounds. I never got that music. I had no idea what it sounded like.
I did get one Tetris Maximus throughout the course of this, but I believe I had already scored like 80 or 90 points doing,
Mm-hmm.
just like getting second and third and whatever, and then like hit that first place, got the extra 100 points. It was like, all right, okay, now now I
I
can
was
stop.
playing with, I was playing, and my husband was sitting on the couch watching me. And you know how like when somebody's like looking over your shoulder when you're trying to type on your keyboard,
Yeah,
or
you
like
can't do it.
you haven't drip, you can't do it for whatever reasons. I was like Butterfingers, and like he was really supportive in that way where like like you would be really supportive of like a lame dog where you're like, oh good boy, like way to go, like that
Yeah.
was totally the vibe that was happening.
Yeah, well, it happens. Look, when you're not playing Tetris all the time, you get rusty.
Yep, for sure.
Um, so that's good. I'm glad we both went back to that for however small amount of time this weekend, and I hope everyone else that wanted it got their hands on this theme. Anytime they drop one, I'm back to Tetris 99 for
Yeah, for
every
sure.
single time. Mark, I said that after a week's time, this was last week Tuesday. I said after 1 week's time, we've got to start talking about Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity, because we both have it. We're both playing it. Mark, where do you stand currently with Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity?
So, how much? I mean, I I don't think
Hard to
anything I'm
say.
about to say is like I don't think that anything I'm about to say is like a spoiler, but I guess like if you want to know nothing about the game, don't listen to this part. But I have 3 of the 4 champions. I have all of but the Gerudo champion, which
Bizarre. I did them in the same order, or at least I saved the Gerudo champion for last.
I realized that I'm doing them in the same order that I did them when I played Breath of the Wild, but I'm not, but like not
What?
on purpose. Like I started going to the like Rito village to get Rivali, and
So did I.
yeah, and so but I am really enjoying it more than I thought I was going to, honestly. I think it being just like in the world of Breath of the Wild and with those
Really helps.
characters
Yeah.
is a lot of fun. I'm also feeling, for me, that I'm hoping that like Breath of the Wild 2 or whatever, the sequel to the Breath of the Wild, that we don't see these characters, that like we don't see these champions, or like that's, we
Yeah.
kind of leave this world behind. And I think my sense of it so far is, even though this Age of Calamity is a prequel, it feels like a good send off for these characters. It's the most time we've spent with these characters, and I don't really want to see them in the sequel. I think it's kind of cool that Breath of the Wild has become its own like universe, and I think you continue to spin off games off of like Breath of the Wild. But I would love for the sequel to be something distinct.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I still think that whatever we see for Breath of the Wild is going to be more different from the first game than we are expecting it. Like I think a lot of people just want to see like a copy paste, just more to do in maybe a different version of Hyrule. But I think it may be a more fundamentally different game than we're expecting.
So are you about the same area as I am? Like,
Yeah, so I think we're both still in technically chapter 2, right?
mm-hmm,
Chapter 2 is you get to go to each of the four champions in whatever order you want. I did the Rito village to get Rivali, and then down to the Zoras to get Mifa, and then up to the Gorons to get Daruk, and then down to the Gerudo village to get Urbosa. And then just sort of like cleaned up. There are like the little fights that you can do that are like training
mm-hmm.
for this person, or like getting perfecting magnesis, or whatever like that. And I've done a bunch of those. And there is like another main battle waiting for me in the middle of Hyrule Field that I'm just sort of putting off right now. Since getting Urbosa, I have decided that I don't want to play this game as anyone but Urbosa. She's so much fun. Yeah, I'm also really enjoying it, but I'm enjoying it as a very like snack game, right? That
Totally.
like I can play it for like 45 minutes or an hour, and then I'm like, all right, now something else. I don't think I'm ever gonna get to a place where I put in, like with the original, with actual Breath of the Wild, I would lose almost entire days to it, where it's like, oh, I just played that game for 7 hours and like that was my day. I can guarantee that that will never happen with this game. I think I'm 5.5 hours in right now. And that's over the course of like maybe 6 or 7 different play sessions. So like, yeah, I definitely go through it more like slowly and gradually than kind of most other games, but it feels right.
Yeah, it's kind of set up perfect for that. Like you're saying, like even the like main battles take maybe 20, 25 minutes. And then unlike with Breath of the Wild, because I did the same thing where you just kind of got lost in that world, but it was so easy to be like, okay, oh, what's over there? Now, like once I
Yeah.
make it over there, I'll stop. And then you get over there and you're like, holy crap, what's that? Like a
Yeah.
little
You
bit
just keep
further.
discovering stuff.
With this, it's not that way at all. It's like you've finished the battle, you go back to the map, and it's really easy to just be like, okay, cool. Like I'm okay setting this down.
Yeah, it's also. I mean, it's interesting because I am very much enjoying this game. There are parts of like the presentation, just because there is so much more like story presentation, so much more like music in it. That like I start to see the like lower level of quality to it. That like
Mm-hmm.
the writing is pretty inconsequential. Like it doesn't really matter what the characters are saying to each other. It's occasionally funny. Daruk makes Link eat a rock that looks like meat. That's kind of funny, but it's also kind of like weird and what. Um, but there is a music cue that plays every time you go back to like the tower in the middle of Hyrule, and it's like a big like sweeping string. And it's so funny to me because as you're doing those like smaller little encounters and returning to that tower, you can do like 4 or 5 of those things in like 15 minutes. And so you just keep hearing this grand sweeping. It's like, this is
It
too much, guys. Dial it down.
it totally reminds me of Jurassic Park 3, where like Jurassic Park 3 uses the main Jurassic Park theme
Murders
for
it.
everything.
Yes.
Like it is constantly played, so there's no like grandeur associated with it anymore. It's just like totally like overplayed.
God. And then at the end, when the military comes in and they do like an army version of it with like a snare drum in the back, it's awful. Yeah.
I have found like that there are some of the characters that I don't really know how to control, and so I'm just relying like purely on button smashing, and it's been working out okay. But like Zelda, and Impa, like I don't really understand how I'm supposed to be
Oh
using those
man.
characters.
Wrap your head around Impa, because she gets fun with that like auto duplication where she makes like multiple versions of herself. She can be super super fun. But yeah, I also find Zelda to be a little bit perplexing because she uses the what's the tablet called, the
Sheikah Slate.
Sheikah Slate. She uses the Sheikah runes as like her regular attacks, but can access the runes the same way everyone else does. And so it's just, I find it conceptually muddled when you're fighting as Zelda. Get your hands on Urbosa, man. She's great. She's got a sword. You charge up her lightning ability, and then she can zap dudes with lightning. It's fun.
I am finding Rivali, like I am using Rivali a lot.
Yeah.
And I kind of find him OP. Like Rivali is like he can just fly around and shoot like people. It seems pretty crazy.
Yeah, Rivali's got a good like one of the things I like about using Rivali is that it gets rid of when you're fighting those the whiz robes, and they're like flying in the air and you're like, I can't hit these things. But Rivali, he can just fly too. No problem there. All right, well, this is good, and we will, just report back as we keep playing. I think, and it sounds like we're both going to be playing it for kind of a while, right? Like,
Yeah, I think so.
do you have any sense of how long this game is, or how many
I have
chapters?
absolutely no idea.
Me neither. I'm totally in the dark about it. I'm kind of excited. There was a little bit where we we're trying to come up with like some episode ideas to get us like through the end of the year here, where there aren't a lot of like new news topics on the Nintendo front. And one of the things that floated in my mind was like maybe we could rank the characters in Age of Calamity. But then I was like, no, I don't want to. I don't want to know. I want to encounter all the characters as we get to them.
I know I got spoiled on a couple of them. Not really like I was reading about the game, so it was my own fault. But I was like, oh, that is a playable character. Like it seems like it gets more bonkers than I was expecting.
Good. I'm very much looking forward to that. Mark, I've also continued to play Yoku's Island Express, which, as we talked about last week, was on sale for $5. And I was playing this sort of like early go of that, and a little bit echoed one of your frustrations of like not really being able to explore the space as easily because sometimes you just want to like get up to that other platform. And if I was in a Metroid game, I would just jump. But in this, I got to like whack at these paddles until it works. This is a game that I did like accidentally lose an entire day to, just playing and like really, really loving. I didn't finish it. I am not done with it, but I am deep enough into the game where I can say that I like it a lot. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it, but I mean, for $5, it was certainly worth taking a day away from me and just having fun, pleasant music and a pinball exploration mechanic.
Yeah, the presentation is so nice.
Yeah, in fact, I'm almost a little bit like there are almost too many good art assets in it, right? Like, it's almost too pretty. Like, I don't know why it looks as good as it does. It doesn't make sense to me. All right. Well, so that's what we've been playing this week. Let's get into the new releases and what we might be playing next week.
Today, December 8th, Puyo Puyo Tetris 2 is released on Switch.
Mark, I forgot about this game. I forgot that it was coming out. I really liked the first Puyo Puyo Tetris. Sarah and I learned how to play Puyo because of it. Because we were playing the version of it that like it's the multiplayer competitive where it switches off between Puyo and Tetris. And we're both very good at Tetris, obviously, but neither of us had ever played Puyo before. So am I interested in it? Like, do I want to get this, or is it just going to be the same game again with like more story elements?
And of course, the story in the first game
Bonkers.
Was totally insane.
Yeah.
It kind of seemed like from the reveal it was just going to be like more of Puyo Puyo Tetris with maybe some more like multiplayer elements to it.
Oh, no, that's interesting.
But yeah, I don't know.
Telling you, man, Puyo Puyo Tetris Dr. Mario. Just get there, and I'm on board.
Just keep layering on.
Just keep putting them on. Wario's Woods, Yoshi's Cookie, just do them all.
And then also today, Doom Eternal is released on the Switch eShop. It's a game that I've been looking forward to for a while, but I don't think I'm going to buy it now. I've kind of built up myself like a nice little tidy backlog here, which I usually kind of drives me crazy. So I need to work my way out of it. And hopefully by that point, Doom Eternal will have gone on sale, and so I can pick it up on sale instead of paying the full $60.
Yeah, don't think that I didn't notice that you did not list Tokyo Mirage Sessions Sharp FE among the games that you've been playing last week. I'm paying attention to you, Mitchell.
Yeah, that's right. Somebody's got to keep me honest.
So 2 pretty big releases today. I think that's exciting.
Yeah, and that's kind of it for the week as far as like games that I was super familiar with. But one thing I did want to call out yesterday, Nintendo of America announced that Dragon Quest XI Echoes of Elusive Age Definitive Edition for the Nintendo Switch and Dragon Quest Builders 2 will now be available for $49.99 instead of $59.99. And it seems like that's just like the new base price going forward. Nintendo made this announcement because even though they're Square Enix games, Nintendo publishes these games in North America.
On Switch, at any rate. It is.
Yeah.
What do you think occasions that price drop? I know that Dragon Quest XI Echoes of an Elusive Age Definitive Edition is now available on other platforms, and on Xbox as part of Game Pass.
Game Pass.
So like, I imagine there are going to be a lot of people accessing it for what is essentially free, and maybe that's why.
Yeah, I think that's it. I also think that like on other platforms, it is already like on Steam and stuff. This definitive edition is less than $60, and so I think it's kind of to bring a little more parity to that.
And then Builders 2, just cause it's been out for a while, or
yeah, that one I cannot account for.
Now that is interesting. Builders 2 is one that I played the. Oh, what is the name of the demo? The demo is so funny. It's like Dragon Quest Builders 2 Jumbo Demo or something like that. The adjective on there tells you how big it is. And it's truly an enormous demo. They let you play so much of that game before making you pay for it. And I had played through that and then just sort of didn't pull the trigger on getting the whole thing, even though I really liked what I played. So maybe this price drop. Although then I should have picked it up during like Black Friday or something, right? It must have been cheaper like 2 weeks ago. Right?
Yeah, or maybe it's part of like the one of those like buy two get one free sales on at Target or something.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's just something that I'll have to pay attention to, and I apologize for messing it up. All right, Mark, you ready to close out the new releases?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Now it is time for a regular segment on our show. It is time for 433. In 1952, American composer John Cage wrote a piece called 433, wherein a performer or group of performers didn't play their instruments for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. For the purposes of our show, our instruments are talking about Nintendo. So, for the duration of one performance of 433, Mark and I will talk about something not at all Nintendo related, thus fulfilling the contract of the piece. Mark, as soon as I alter the cadence of any one of those sentences, the whole thing falls apart. We are talking the all month long. We're doing December holiday topics. The holidays are a time for baking. We are going to be discussing the cookies in Nestle Toll House's nationwide survey of most popular cookies by state. Mark, you brought us this list. Where's this coming from?
This is coming from Nestle Toll House, and I'm telling you, I tried to go to some sort of definitive source because I knew I wanted to talk about cookies. So I was Googling like most popular cookies in like America. And there are some bonkers, insane, terrible lists out there where they're like the favorite cookie in Arizona is like spicy Mexican chocolate biscotti. And you're like, I believe that there are people that like I'm sure that it tastes really good and people enjoy it. I refuse to believe that it is the most popular cookie in Arizona.
Right. I would like to see this survey that people had to choose from. Was it like that and like a ginger snap? Like what are their options here?
Right. But this list makes sense. I could wrap my head around it because the vast majority of states say they like chocolate chip cookies.
And specifically chocolate chip cookies without nuts. This is a thing that the list specifies. I don't know if there are any that say chocolate chip cookies with nuts.
Colorado, at least, is
Colorado.
one.
Come on, get out of here. I noticed that my home state of Wisconsin is, of course, chocolate chip without nuts. Way to go, Wisconsin. Of course, California, where you and I both live now, peanut butter with chocolate chips. How do you feel about a peanut butter cookie with chocolate chips?
So I don't really like peanut butter cookies, but which is odd because I love peanut butter, like genuinely love peanut butter. But the idea of a peanut butter cookie with chocolate chips, I cannot believe I've never had it before because that actually sounds like it would be pretty good.
I'm not Does it exist? Like that I've had
It's
like
definitely not the most popular cookie in California. I
that's
have
right.
never seen one.
Yeah, me neither. I'm familiar with the like the peanut butter cookie with a Hershey's Kiss in the middle of it,
Ah, I have had that. I have had that.
but I feel like that is not what is being described here.
Not at all. The thing that is crazy to me is that California, like, it says that is true for California, but also Alabama,
Yep.
Arkansas, Mississippi, like Nevada, like a number of other states have that. And yet I have never, ever seen one, ever.
States claiming that the biscotti is their favorite cookie include Rhode Island and New Mexico. No, wait, New Mexico's is something different. Bos, what is this? Bosco Cheeto? What is that?
I Bisco Cheeto. I have no idea what that is. Although I believe that the favorite cookie of Rhode Island is a biscotti.
Why
For
is
whatever
that?
reason, that sounds right to me.
Hmm. I the town that I grew up in Wisconsin, Kenosha, has a large Italian population. So we had regular access to biscotti in a way that you probably wouldn't predict for Wisconsin.
App Washington's. I know we're done. I know we're done.
Yeah,
I just
we're
want to say
done. We're
that
done. I'm just gonna close it up.
Washington's cookie is apple cinnamon, which, like, guys, don't be a
Guys,
cliche.
yeah, you can go off the brand for a second, but also Wyoming's cookie is the cowboy cookie. So like, I don't know, and Texas. So, Mark, I believe we were accompanied today by the EBU Your Radio Orchestra, but I didn't write it down. So we'll that is truly the thing that we will never know. All right, Mark, let's get into the news.
Earlier this year, the Persona 5 Muso game, or like warrior style spin off game, Persona 5 Scramble, the Phantom Strikers, was released in Japan for Switch and PS4, but we never got any word of it being released outside of Japan.
I wouldn't say
Um,
no
even
word. We got like a lot of rumors and
Yeah,
supposition about it.
that's
No
right. And
official word.
I spent half of the year like thinking that it had already been released or announced for the West and possibly
Yes.
released outside of Japan already. So when uh it was when I found out that that was in fact not true, it was shocking. So
Shocking.
finally, the nightmare is over. Last week, an unlisted trailer appeared on Atlus's YouTube channel, confirming the game would be released in North America and Europe on February 23rd, 2021. This time just called Persona 5 Strikers. They're getting rid of all the scramble nonsense.
Interesting.
The video has since been removed from YouTube, but we might be getting confirmation of the release date today, since Atlus has been teasing news to be shared December 8th. So maybe by the time you're listening to this, it will have already happened.
I like that even in like the official announcement that there's some chicanery around it still. That like we know it is, we know for sure it is coming to the West. Wait, maybe it's not. Maybe it is.
Yeah.
We don't know. We don't know. The video disappeared.
Until it is February 23rd and it is available to purchase, I will not believe it.
I will agree with that. Still seems weird to me that there's still no like motion on any of the mainline Persona games coming to Switch. Right?
Yeah. I mean, I think you're right in one of your previous predictions in one of our previous shows where you were just like, these mainline games are never coming to Switch, and it definitely feels like that's the case.
Yeah, that's true. I did say that. I did say that this is never gonna. I didn't. Well, I said it certainly won't happen until at least the new consoles are out. So maybe 2021 is the year that it actually happens. But I was pretty confident that
Maybe
it was not going to happen
2021.
in 2020. Yeah.
What is your excitement level for this?
For this game, I mean, pretty low.
Yeah.
It's we are obviously talking about a Muso game that we are playing right now. But we're not really into it for the Muso qualities of it. We're excited for the Zelda and for the Breath of the Wild stuff. I think like what motivates me to play a Muso game filled with characters I don't know at all.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing. I think I'm more likely to go back and play like the Fire Emblem one.
Yeah. I completely agree. I can't remember if we've talked about it at all recently, but the Game Awards are nearly upon us. They're happening this week. Um,
Oh yeah.
and they revealed that Reggie Fils-Aimé, the former president of Nintendo of America, is going to be a presenter at this year's show, joining a prestigious lineup that includes the Swedish chef from The Muppets.
And Gal Gadot. So I mean, who knows? What a weird lineup they've got there. They've got fictional characters, they've got Hollywood actresses, and Reggie Fils-Aimé. So I mean, I don't. This is the Game Awards is one of those like sort of self-serious things that I feel like is way weirder and dorkier than people give it credit for. Like I think there's a lot of eagerness for the Game Awards to be like a legitimate thing when it's like a lot of open sourced voting on games and 4.5 hours of video game commercial. But there might be some fun announcements, but historically not that big, you know. So I don't know. The Game Awards is the time of year when I feel the most like Ebenezer Scrooge, where I'm like, humbug, this is no big deal. Um, but I'm always prepared to be visited by three spirits and have my heart changed. How do you feel
Yeah,
about it, Mark?
I agree with you that I feel like the Game Awards are best in not to be taken that seriously. That they're just an opportunity for like some fun reveals, but who actually wins the awards doesn't seem to be that big of a deal. To me, I feel like the best way I can describe the Game Awards are like putting a blazer over t-shirts and jeans and like being like, great, I'm all dressed up. Um it just
Yeah.
doesn't really work. Like the things just don't really fit.
This is a bad analogy, but it feels like that year that Puddle of Mud went to the MTV video where they were all wearing tuxedos and mohawks and like fake gunshot wounds in their head. Do you remember this? This is a very vivid image in my mind for some reason.
I think that is actually the perfect analogy for
Of
the
course,
Game Awards.
there are some Nintendo games or games that appear on Switch that are nominated for Game of the Year. Hades and Animal Crossing: New Horizons are both nominated for the best Game of the Year, along with Doom Eternal, which will be out on Switch by the time that the awards are announced. And then the other three are PlayStation exclusives: Final Fantasy VII Remake, Ghost of Tsushima, and The Last of Us Part 2. So great years for two platforms. And then the really only other place that
Yeah.
Nintendo brings like has a significant presence is in the best family games or games for family or however that category. Sorry, I'm looking this up sort of on the fly. Mark, am I going to find this thing? Here we go. Best family games. And these are all sort of nominated by like game industry types. So I wonder if there's just a little bit of like checking out or like sort of default being like, throw a Nintendo game at it. Because the games nominated are Animal Crossing's New Horizons, Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time, Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout, Mario Kart Home Circuit, Minecraft Dungeons, and Paper Mario: The Origami King. I guess those are family games. I don't really know what that category means.
I feel like it's the same thing that the Oscars did with animated films, where they're like, oh no, Beauty and the Beast got nominated for Best Picture. Let's create its own category so that can never happen again. The Game Awards are, of course, kicking off this Thursday at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time, streaming pretty much everywhere you would expect to stream something.
Mark, what are you expecting in terms of announcements? You sort of mentioned that there could be some, have historically been some. Are you expecting anything from Nintendo this year?
I don't know. I feel like in previous years there was a lot of hype around like potential Nintendo announcements. Last year was they were rumors were really big that the Metroid Prime trilogy was going to be announced.
Oh yeah.
But I feel like in like
we were so young.
a few years ago we got the Bayonetta 3 reveal, and historically there's been some Smash Brother reveals, and that last one feels the most likely to me. We're probably due for like another reveal of the next Smash DLC, and so if I were betting money on anything, I would bet that to be there. But also, if it didn't show up,
Yeah.
that wouldn't surprise me either.
Yeah, I mean it's obviously a weird year for Nintendo and everyone. I would really not be surprised if like each of the big three like hardware manufacturers didn't have anything to show at
Yeah.
this. Especially like Microsoft and Sony like have been firing all their guns. So like who has anything left in the tank? No one. It is possible that Nintendo does something big and we're all blown away by it. There are any number of shoes that could drop on the Nintendo front. Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime 4, the Switch Pro, which won't be called that. And any of these things could show up. Pokemon, anything could. I sort of feel like nothing will.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Mark, what's your pick for game of the year?
I think it's got to be Animal Crossing.
I think it's got to be Hades. So we'll see. It'll be The Last of Us, but we'll see.
Kratos from Sony's God of War franchise is currently a playable character in Fortnite, which means you can play as Kratos on the Nintendo Switch.
Wild.
It's a cool time. Like, I feel like, as much as Sony is still Sony, Microsoft is still Microsoft, and Nintendo is still Nintendo, there is more cross-pollination than there has ever been, as everybody like kind of stakes out what their deal is. And with like crossplay online to some extent, Sony's kind of been resistant to that, but Microsoft's been on board. We've seen Microsoft games published on Nintendo platforms. Like it feels now more than ever that this isn't that crazy. If Sonic can be on a Nintendo platform, why not Kratos?
Well, I mean, Sonic has been on Nintendo stuff for like at least a decade at this point.
Probably close to 20 years.
I get what you're saying. Right. Oh yeah. No, yeah, definitely like 20 years. I do think it still requires something big enough to sort of unite the clans. And Fortnite is definitely that thing. Just like Smash Brothers is also sort of that thing that they're able to pull in Banjo-Kazooie and Steve from Minecraft.
Totally.
And even like a Snake from Metal Gear. Like it's all it just requires something that is like big enough and popular enough to be like you can't afford not to be part of me. And obviously Fortnite is that. Mark, you had sort of written here that like Kratos is in the game. That's it. That's the whole story, and that's fun. But is it? Because there's also sort of rumors right now that Master Chief will be also part of the same season of Fortnite content, Master Chief from Halo, which sort of begs the question: is Kratos the opening shot of a 3 systems? Is this the true uniting the clans? And will we also see a Nintendo character coming into Fortnite? And who would that be?
I'm gonna say that would be wild. I would love that. I don't think it's going to be Mario. I think Mario's too precious. I think, although I say that, and they've like given the movie to Illuminations Entertainment, so maybe that's not actually true.
They let Mario be in a Rabbids game too. So like, and he holds a gun. Like that was my big hang up is like the characters in Fortnite need to like carry guns, but
right.
like, what if Mario's got that like little blue arm cannon thing? Like,
I could see them being more like loose with a character like Star Fox or like Samus or something like that, where it wouldn't be as weird to have them in that universe.
Yeah, I feel like it would need to be someone at least as big as is Samus even a big enough character like to be on par with Kratos and Master Chief? Like these are those are like those companies' icons, right? Like they're mascots borderline. And like, is Samus Aran a big enough character? Like within gaming communities, sure, but like to the Fortnite audience, is Samus Aran a big enough get?
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. Maybe just Nintendo sits it out. I just have such a hard time imagining it being Mario.
No, I think that is. What about Wario? What if it's Wario? Is that okay?
Yeah, totally. I would believe that on his like motorcycle. I would believe that.
look, we all know that it should either be Mike from Star Tropics or Stanley the Bugman from Donkey Kong 3.
And
Or a
Guigi is a time
time-traveling
traveler.
Luigi.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Finally, LEGO is celebrating 25 years of LEGO video games with a new podcast series called Bits and Bricks. It's a historical deep dive into the LEGO Group's the LEGO Group's long, rich history in digital play and video games, by journalist Brian Crescenti and documentarian Ethan Vincent, which I think is like a cool project. Like, let these two, like journalists, a journalist and a documentarian, just kind of like loose with the Lego video games, which is such a like specific niche, but also like is at this point is like a huge franchise. And they talk about the podcast, which just dropped its first episode last week, is going to cover like games that weren't released, like that kind of stuff.
Cool.
I'm not familiar with any other video game company that has done something like this. And the fact that it's coming from Lego is really interesting to me.
I mean, I think it's also just an interesting topic because like Lego is such a specific brand, outside of video games, and then has become a different specific brand in video games and a different specific brand in like broader entertainment that all feel like connected but not exactly the same. It's just it's an interesting journey, and I would be interested to hear. Oh man, can I say interesting a couple more times? Jesus, Pat. Sounds cool. I'm looking forward to listening to it.
Well, I'm also curious to find out like how unvarnished isn't the right word, but just like how much access they have, because one thing that is very different in video games compared to other medium is we just don't hear that much about development that isn't really like either from anonymous sources or really just kind of like polished PR presentation. And obviously this is being produced by Lego, so I don't expect it to, like rip it apart or anything.
But not dirty little secrets.
Right, yeah.
Right.
But it would be interesting to hear like about these like projects that didn't go, and the kind of like a more serious take on like documenting the adventure of trying to put a video game together, which I feel like we don't really get that often.
Absolutely, especially considering that most of the Lego games also deal with a amount of like licensing and dealing with other IP holders. So like, there are Lego games, sure, but you're thinking about Lego Star Wars, Lego Marvel, Lego DC, Lego Batman, all of those things very specifically, which means relationships with different companies and different companies at different times in their as far as video games are concerned, Star Wars is supposed to have like an exclusive relationship with EA, right? Except where Lego is concerned. Like Lego gets to play by its own weird rules, and it would be fun to see a little peek behind the curtain of what those rules are, how it all played out.
According to an infographic released by Lego, the first Lego game was a Japan-only title developed by Sega for the Pico in 1995 called Fun to Build. And
hold on. What's a Pico?
I don't know.
It's like a mild salsa?
It is like a it's like a it looks like a kid's computer, like a laptop that's very toy-like.
Interesting.
Yeah. And also as part of like kind of the celebration, the NPD Group's Matt Piscatella, NPD is the research firm who tracks video game sales in the US, revealed some fun facts about Lego video games on Twitter. He revealed that Lego is the 9th biggest video game franchise in history, as recorded by dollar sales. Ninth
biggest is it's it's an impressive amount of games sold, certainly, but 9th biggest is like that's top 10. Yeah, top 10 for sure.
Well, when you consider like the franchises that must be in the top 10, right? So like Grand Theft Auto, Mario Kart. Yeah, like to be able to hang with that group. I mean, sure, did I quickly run out of franchises to list? But to be able to hang with like that group in the top 10 is pretty impressive.
Probably just Minecraft all by itself.
Right, yeah, completely. The top 3 best-selling games are Lego Star Wars The Complete Saga, Lego Batman, and Lego Star Wars 2. So like you were saying, Patrick, their relationship with Star Wars paying dividends. And then finally, Lego is the best-selling third-party franchise on Nintendo platforms.
Wow, not just Dance?
Not just Dance.
Wow, wild. So hold on, then why were there no new Lego Star Wars games for the Wii in the last couple of years? Huh?
Yeah, I know, right? Shocking.
All right, Mark, let's get out of the news. Okay, that's going to do it for this episode of Nintendo Cartridge Society. Remember, please rate, review, subscribe on Apple Podcasts. If you like the episode, you can share it on Facebook or Twitter or wherever you share stuff. We appreciate it when you do that. You can follow us on Twitter. I'm at Patrick_Ellers. Mark is at MKE. Mitchell and the show is at Nin Cart Society. We also have a Facebook page, which is just Nintendo Cartridge Society. Olivia Duncan made our logo. Our theme music is provided by 8-Bit Betty. You can get more of his music by going to 8bitbetty.com or by listening right now. For my co-host, Mark Mitchell, this is Patrick Ellers saying Kirby should have been Kirby in Fortnite. Thanks for listening.
Have you ever encountered an unexplained hairy bipedal hominid in the woods?
Have you received telepathic messages from an unidentified aerial phenomenon?
If so, then you need to listen to Bigfoot Collectors Club. I'm Michael McMillan.
And I'm Bryce Johnson.
And together with super producer
Riley Bray,
we make up the Bigfoot Collectors Club.
That's right. Every week we talk to actors, comedians, writers, and paranormal experts about their personal paranormal histories and share stories of high strangeness.
Like the time when we talked to Craig Ferguson about the Loch Ness Monster and when a sea witch told him he had raven magic.
Or the time I asked Pitch Perfect's Anna Camp her opinion on cattle mutilations. Past guests have included Rachel Bloom, Jen Kirkman, Paul F. Tompkins, Bobcat Goldthwait, and more.
So if you've ever been abducted alongside 5 reindeer by an alien with drills for hands or witnessed Bigfoot crawl out of an interdimensional portal,
Don't laugh, happens all the time.
then check out Bigfoot Collectors Club on Campfire Media or wherever you get your podcasts.
Bigfoot Collectors Club. You're here to believe us.
wait, is that how it goes?
Campfire.